Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a really dense stack of sources this time, and we are going deep on a legal and ethical showdown that is, and this is no exaggeration, defining the future of the internet.
That's right. Our mission today is pretty laser focused. We're here to unpack what we're calling the Malachi crunch.
The Malachi crunch.
Yeah, it's this massive high stakes collision between, on one side, the $9 billion AI search company, Perplexity,
And on the other,
the titans of journalism. We're talking the New York Times, the Tribune Content Agency, the old guard.
and look, it is not hyperbole to call this battle existential. The whole thing really just boils down to one core tension, doesn't it?
It does. It's the unstoppable force of AI with its just insatiable hunger for training data.
Right.
And that's crashing right into the immovable object of publishers' rights, their revenue, and let's be honest here, their righteous indignation.
They feel like their work is being stolen because it took real effort and real money to produce that content in the first place.
Exactly. So we're not just talking about some minor squabble over a few articles. This is a potential threat to the entire business model of investigative journalism.
So, as we walk you through all of this, the lawsuits, the technical side of it, what this means for the web board, we want you to keep one big question in your mind.
And that question is, who is ultimately responsible for funding the original reporting when an AI can just give you the answer instantly?
Yeah, when you never even have to click on the original source.
Yeah.
That is the multi-billion-dollar question here.
Right.
And if you enjoy this kind of breakdown, getting straight to the heart of these complex sources, make sure you subscribe. We'll keep your knowledge stack fresh.
Okay, let's get into it.
Let's do it. We have to start with the disruptor, the new heavyweight here. Perplexity AI. They are the ones causing this whole crunch.
Perplexity came onto the scene with a really aggressive playbook. I mean, by early 2025, they were already staring down a valuation of a cool $9 billion.
And they were openly positioning themselves as, what was it, Google's worst nightmare.
That was the phrase. And they earned it because they were fundamentally changing what search is. Google gives you 10 blue links and says, here, you do the work.
Perplexity's promise was, we'll do the work for you. They just bypass that whole step and give you a direct, synthesized answer right away.
Precisely. They did it by combining these massive cutting-edge AI language models with real-time web retrieval. It's not just spitting back info, it's actively, synthesizing what's on the web to get you a fast, comprehensive answer.
They had those key features like deep research mode. What does that actually do?
Oh, it's powerful. Instead of one answer, you give it a complex question, and it runs multiple searches, cross-references everything, and basically writes you a little cited essay on the topic in seconds.
Rhythmic research assistant on call.
Exactly. And then you add their AI native browsing, which is just integrating that AI understanding directly into how they pull from web pages. So growth came incredibly fast.
But, as our sources point out, that Silicon Valley mantra of move fast and break things can get you into trouble.
Well, sometimes the things you end up breaking are, foundational copyright laws.
And that rapid growth is what led directly to this fight. Which brings us to the metaphor for this whole deep dive, the Malachi crunch. I just love how visual this is.
It's perfect, right? For anyone who doesn't know, the term actually comes from demolition derbies.
Okay.
It's a totally illegal tactic. It's where two drivers secretly team up to go after a third car. They pin the target between them.
And just crush it.
Like a high-speed trash compactor. It's brutal, it's super effective, and it is very, very frowned upon.
And that's exactly why the analogy works so well here. The AI version of the crunch is this combined pressure.
It is. You've got the publishing giants, the Times, the Tribune uniting on the legal front. Then you have the big internet infrastructure players like Cloudflare coming at them on the technical front. They are pinning Perplexity down.
So the crunch is that collective legal and economic weight. And again, it's that same core conflict, AI demanding data to learn and publishers demanding to be paid for their very expensive work.
Yep.
Data wants to be free, as they say, but the publishers are making it crystal clear. If you're building a $9 billion company on our content, you are going to pay for it.
And they started hitting back hard. Let's dig into the legal side because this is where those big precedents are going to be set. It really kicked off with the New York Times lawsuit.
The Times filed their suit in December of 2025. And this wasn't just, a shot across the bow. It was a very carefully built legal argument to draw a line in the sand on IP rights in the AI era.
And the specific claim here is critical. They're alleging unauthorized scraping and use of their proprietary content.
Content that people pay for through subscriptions. They're essentially saying, you are taking the value of our reporting, summarizing it, and giving it away, which cuts us out of the loop entirely.
Without a license, without compensation.
And this is where the precedent-setting part comes in. The Times isn't just looking for money here. They want a court to rule on the limits of fair use.
Because AI companies always argue that scraping for training is fair use, that it's transformative.
Right, but the publisher's argument is a bit different. They're saying when the AI's output, the answer it gives you, replaces the need to read our article, that's not fair use anymore.
That's a direct competitor,
Yeah.
a derivative work that harms the market for the original.
Precisely. If they can just harvest premium journalism for free, it just breaks the economic model. It brings up that question again, why pay reporters if someone else can just repackage and monetize their work instantly?
And it wasn't just the Times acting alone. That's key here. The Tribune Content Agency, which represents the Chicago Tribune and a bunch of others, they jumped in too.
They did. They filed a separate but very similar copyright infringement suit, also in New York. The allegations were almost identical. Unauthorized reproduction, distribution of their articles.
And that move just confirms this is a united front. It's not one disgruntled newspaper. It's the industry itself pushing back and saying the rules have to change.
It dramatically increases the legal pressure. Absolutely.
Now, what makes these legal cases so powerful is that there seems to be technical evidence backing up the publisher's claims of, well, bad faith. And that brings us to the Cloudflare allegations.
This is where it gets really interesting. The lawsuits allege the infringement, but Cloudflare provided evidence of the how. And the how looks pretty bad.
So Cloudflare is like the internet's bouncer, right?
Yeah.
They manage traffic for a huge chunk of the web.
A perfect way to put it. And back in August 2025, they leveled some very serious accusations against Perplexity. They called it seriously sketchy behavior.
Okay, so let's get into the technical weeds for a second. What exactly did they find Perplexity's web crawlers were doing?
The main thing was systematically ignoring website blocks, specifically the robots.txt file.
And for anyone who might not know, robots.txt is basically the no trespassing sign for web crawlers. It's like the foundational social contract of the web.
It absolutely is. A site owner puts that file up to tell respectable crawlers, hey, don't access these parts of my site. And Cloudflare alleged Perplexity was just deliberately walking past the sign. And not only that, they found Perplexity's crawlers were disguising themselves. They were pretending to be regular web browsers to sneak past security tools that would have otherwise blocked them.
So that's not an accident. That's a deliberate choice. It's like reading a do not enter sign and then putting on a fake mustache to get past the guard.
A pretty good analogy, yeah. And the scale of it was just staggering. Cloudflare was seeing millions of these requests every day, hitting tens of thousands of different websites. They called it a complete disregard for site owners' preferences.
And what did Perplexity say?
Well, naturally, they disputed it. They called Cloudflare's report a sales pitch to sell their own security products.
But the technical logs are hard to argue with, aren't they?
They're very compelling evidence in court. This picture of systematic circumvention, it just raises these huge, urgent questions about AI ethics, about transparency, and, whether breaking things should include breaking copyright law.
And all of this, the lawsuits, the technical stuff, it's feeding into a real, immediate economic crisis for publishers.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't theoretical. Publishers are hemorrhaging traffic. Why would you click through to read an article behind a paywall if the AI can just give you the key takeaways in 2 bullet points?
Which is just devastating for ad revenue. And it makes it a lot harder to convince people to subscribe.
It hollows out their entire business model, which is why they and the infrastructure providers are now mounting this big counteroffensive.
To protect their content.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Cloudflare, for example, launched new tools specifically to identify and block these kinds of unauthorized AI crawlers unless they agree to pay up.
So they're trying to force a move towards a licensed pay-to-play system.
It's kind of like creating a Netflix, but for web content. If you're an AI company and you want access to high-quality, real-time data, you're going to have to subscribe or use a paid API.
The days of scrape first, ask permission never are coming to an end.
The free lunch is officially over.
Which lands this problem squarely back in Perplexity's lap. They have this massive strategic dilemma now.
A huge one. They have to keep up that rapid growth to justify that $9 billion valuation. But they're bleeding money and time fighting these huge legal challenges. It's like trying to build a rocket ship while the lawyers are busy removing the engines.
And they have to figure out how to actually make money while keeping that ad-free, unbiased user experience that people love.
And those two things are often mutually exclusive. It's a real tightrope.
So the fundamental question for them is, can they keep that disruptive edge that made them famous while finally starting to play by the rules?
And the answer to that question will have massive ripple effects. The rulings in these cases will set landmark legal precedents. They will define the rules for AI training data for decades to come.
We're probably going to see the rise of whole new licensing frameworks, right? Like a Spotify for News content model.
I think that's inevitable, but what's so fascinating is how this whole crunch is challenging the very idea of the open web that we've known for 20 years.
Oh, so
While the open web was never designed for trillion-dollar AI companies to come in and just harvest everything in sight to power their own private models, the whole system is under pressure from paywalls, AI middlemen, and content control. It's a real fight for who gets to monetize the world's knowledge.
So to wrap this all up, the Malachi crunch is so much more than just another tech lawsuit. It's a real turning point, a reckoning for AI ethics.
It absolutely is. It's proof that you can't just build a $9 billion company on the back of other people's work without facing the consequences.
This is that pivotal moment, that balancing act between pushing technology forward, which we need, and respecting the rights of the people who create the foundational knowledge.
And the outcome here is going to define whether AI is built to truly serve humanity by fairly compensating its sources, or if it just ends up serving Silicon Valley VCs by treating all content as free fuel.
The stakes could not be higher for the future of knowledge and the internet itself. We've seen the battle lines drawing.
Which brings us right back to that final provocative thought for you to chew on.
If these AI tools do become the main way that most of us get our information, how can we structurally, economically, ensure the survival of the expensive, high-quality journalism that provides that information in the first place?
What business models can even survive that shift?
Something to think about.